Imagine walking up to a hotel front desk, pointing to the person standing right next to you and telling the clerk, "Hello, I would like to check in, my friend."
Yeah, the clerk would probably look for a luggage tag to stick on your friend's forehead.
Right.
Or maybe they would, point you toward the cargo loading zone outside.
Yeah.
It paints a highly bizarre image.
It sounds totally ridiculous, but I mean, in the English language, missing just one tiny, seemingly insignificant word can, well, it can turn a perfectly normal conversation into a very strange, very confusing scenario.
Absolutely.
Welcome to our deep dive. English has so many fast-paced, complicated rules that can easily overwhelm you, especially as a learner.
It really can.
So today we are going to do the exact opposite. We're going to slow down. We are going to take our time, enunciate clearly, and focus deeply on just one single phrase.
And that deliberate pace is incredibly important. When you try to memorize a massive list of vocabulary all at once, the brain simply cannot hold on to the subtle mechanics of how those words actually function in the real world.
Yeah, you just forget them the next day.
Exactly. So by focusing entirely on one phrase today, we can examine it from every single angle. We could look at the architecture of the grammar.
And our guide for today's journey is this fantastic mini lesson from The Essential Guide to Checking In. And our mission is straightforward, but I really believe it will dramatically improve your daily conversations.
Definitely will.
We are going to master the phrase, check in. Just two very small words. But as we will see, they hold an enormous amount of power depending on how you use them.
Right, so we are going to explore what this phrase actually means in modern English, the specific emotions behind it, and three distinct grammatical tools you can use to apply it, to people, to places, and to your work.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we even touch the grammar or talk about those tiny directional words called prepositions, we have to establish the feeling of this phrase.
The feeling is everything here.
It is. Our guide provides a very clear, very specific definition. It describes check-in as and I'm quoting here, a friendly phrasal verb that means to contact someone briefly to share information, ask how they are, or show support.
The inclusion of the word friendly right at the beginning of that definition, that is not an accident.
No.
No, it is not just a descriptive adjective. It is the core instruction for how to deploy this vocabulary. It tells you the exact tone of voice you need to use.
Ah, I see. So I want to look closely at three words from that definition: friendly, briefly, and support. Think about the contrast here, right?
Sure.
Imagine you are at your office, a 2-hour performance review meeting behind closed doors with your manager. That is not a check-in.
Definitely not. That is a formal evaluation.
Right. A check-in is much lighter. I like to think of it as a quick, gentle tap on the shoulder.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you're just poking your head into a colleague's office for maybe 60 seconds to say, "Hey, I am still here. Do you need anything?"
A tap on the shoulder is exactly the right visual. If we connect this to the bigger picture, understanding the emotional weight of a phrase is what separates a mechanical language learner from a truly fluent speaker.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, when you announce to someone that you want to check in, you're actively lowering the temperature of the room.
Lowering the temperature, right.
You are signaling to them that this interaction will not drain a lot of their time or their energy. You are intentionally removing the pressure.
Removing the pressure. That is a great way to frame it. It is a low-stress interaction. The entire goal is just to share a small piece of information, ask how they are, or, offer that emotional safety net of support.
And because it is so low stress, it has really become one of the most common ways English speakers maintain their relationships, both personally and professionally.
So now that we have established that gentle, friendly foundation, let's transition into the mechanics of the language. Let's look at how we actually build sentences with this phrase.
The nuts and bolts of it.
Exactly. Our lesson outlines 3 specific ways to use check-in, and the fascinating thing is that the meaning shifts entirely based on one tiny category of words. Prepositions.
Prepositions. Words like with, at, on, or about.
Right.
You can think of prepositions as directional arrows inside a sentence. They tell the listener's brain exactly where to point its attention. And changing that one small arrow, well, it completely changes the destination of your sentence.
Okay, let's follow the first arrow. The very first rule from our guide focuses on human connection. The structure is check in with a person.
With a person.
Yes, and the example sentence they provide is this: I check in with my friend to see how she feels.
That's a great example.
I am going to repeat that one more time. very slowly for you listening at home so you can hear the structure. I check in with my friend to see how she feels.
Notice the rhythm there. It feels very natural, very centered on a human relationship.
It does, but I want to push back on this mechanic for a second.
Okay, go for it.
I want to ask a question that I know a lot of language learners struggle with. Why do we absolutely have to use the word with here? If the verb check in means to contact someone, why can't I just use a direct object? Why can't I just say, I check in my friend?
Well, this brings us right back to the bizarre scenario we mentioned at the start of our deep dive.
The luggage tag.
Yes. If you say, I check in, my friend, you are stripping away their humanity. You're essentially treating your friend like an inanimate object.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Think about what you do at an airport. You check a bag,
Right.
you hand your suitcase over to the airline staff, and it goes onto a conveyor belt. You are doing an action to the bag.
Right. The bag has no choice in the matter. It is just cargo.
Exactly. But a human being is not cargo. So we use the preposition with because it functions as a bridge between two autonomous equals.
A bridge.
Yes, the arrow of the word with points horizontally. It implies a side-by-side partnership. You are not doing an action to your friend. You are initiating a connection alongside them.
Ah, I see. A horizontal bridge between two people. So when I say I check in with my sister or I check in with my team, I am building that supportive bridge.
Yes, and think back to the original definition we talked about. We are doing this to show support and to ask how they are.
Right.
Arriving at someone's emotional destination requires that horizontal bridge. You are standing with them in their space to see how they feel.
That makes perfect structural sense. The arrow points to a human, so we use with. We have successfully built our emotional bridges.
We have.
But our guide now pivots to a completely different type of destination. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, I agree.
What happens when we remove the humans entirely? What if our destination is not a person, but a physical building?
Well, that requires a totally different grammatical tool. We have to swap out our directional arrow.
The lesson provides our second rule, check in at a place.
At a place.
Yes. And the example sentence is, we check in at the hotel before we go to our room. Listen to the mechanics of that sentence again. We check in at the hotel before we go to our room. The entire atmosphere of the phrase changes here.
The atmosphere absolutely changes. How does the feeling shift for you when we swap with for at?
Well, that casual, gentle tap on the shoulder we talked about, it's completely gone.
Yeah, it is.
Using the word at makes check-in feel like a formal, mandatory threshold. It is like, unlocking a door or crossing a finish line.
Right, a requirement.
Exactly. You cannot just casually stroll into a hotel, grab a key, and go to sleep. You must complete this required process at the front desk first. It is a transaction.
It is. Which raises an important question, I think.
What's that?
If the feeling has shifted from casual emotional support to a mandatory transactional process, is it actually the same phrasal verb? Does this usage still connect to the friendly definition we discussed earlier?
That is a really great point because it feels much colder than checking in with a friend. But how does it connect?
We have to look at the very first part of our guide's definition. Remember, to share information.
Yes. Share information.
When you walk up to that front desk and you check in a hotel, what are you fundamentally doing?
You are telling them you're there.
Exactly. You are sharing the information that you have arrived. You are telling the staff, I am here. My name is on your reservation list. Please grant me access to my room.
You are definitely sharing information, and it is brief. It usually only takes a minute or two to, hand over your credit card and show your passport.
Right.
So it does still fit the core definition of a brief sharing of information.
It does. And let's look at the grammatical architecture of the word at.
Okay.
If with is a horizontal bridge between people, at is a pin dropped firmly onto a map.
Oh, a pin on a map. I like that.
It points to a highly specific geographic location. At the hotel, at the conference center, at the airport.
So you drop the pin, you complete the action, and then you get a result.
Notice how the example sentence perfectly models that action and result structure. We check in at the hotel. That is the action.
Right.
Before we go to our room, that is the result. You cannot have the result without completing the action at that specific pin on the map.
Okay, we are making excellent progress. We've used with to build bridges to people. We have used at to drop pins on physical places.
Yes, but we're not done yet.
No, we are not. The final section of our source material moves away from both humans and buildings. It takes us into the world of the abstract.
The world of tasks, concepts, and progress. Things you cannot physically touch, but things you still need to monitor.
Our third rule is check in about progress. And the example sentence here is, my teacher checks in to ask how my project is going.
Let's hear that structure one more time.
Sure. My teacher checks in to ask how my project is going.
This is perhaps the most common way you will hear this phrase used in a corporate environment or, a university setting.
It is everywhere in the business world, but I have to admit, I am looking at this example sentence and I want to challenge it.
Oh, challenge it how?
Let's look at the actors in this sentence. The teacher is a person. The student is a person.
Right.
We just learned that when we connect two humans, we use the bridge word with. So why doesn't the rule say the teacher checks in with the student?
What's fascinating here is you absolutely can say the teacher checks in with the student.
You can.
Yes.
Huh.
But doing so changes the lighting of the entire scene. Imagine a stage production.
Okay, a stage production.
Prepositions control where the spotlight shines.
Yeah.
If you say, my teacher checks in with me, the spotlight shines directly on the human relationship.
So the teacher's asking about my well-being.
Exactly. Are you sleeping enough?
Yeah.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by the class?
That brings us right back to rule number 1, emotional support. The spotlight is on the human.
Precisely. But when you swap that preposition and use the word about, you grab that spotlight and you physically move it away from the human.
And where does it go?
You shine it directly onto the object sitting on the desk. The attention is no longer on your feelings. The attention is entirely on the topic. It is on the work.
The spotlight moves to the task itself.
Yes. If with is a bridge and at is a pin on a map, about is like drawing a circle.
Drawing a circle?
You are walking around a topic, examining it from different angles. So, checking in about the project. You are hovering over the work.
Right.
The teacher is initiating that brief, friendly contact, just like our original definition. But the purpose of asking how they are is directed at the assignment.
Yeah.
How is the assignment doing?
That distinction is incredibly helpful. You are circling the topic like, we need to check in about the quarterly budget, or I am calling to check in about the marketing schedule.
Exactly. You are certainly not asking the budget how it feels today.
No, definitely not.
You are examining the progress of the budget. You are asking for a status update. And, there is a brilliant piece of hidden grammar in the example sentence that our guide provides.
Hidden grammar? What do you mean?
Well, the stated rule is check in about progress, but the actual example sentence uses an infinitive verb phrase instead.
Wait, let me look. It says, my teacher checks in to ask how my project is going.
Yeah.
Oh, you are right. The word about isn't actually in the example sentence. They used to ask.
They did. And it is a wonderful demonstration of English flexibility.
How so?
The infinitive phrase to ask serves the exact same directional function as the preposition about. It acts as an arrow pointing to the topic.
So they are interchangeable.
Completely. You could seamlessly swap them. My teacher checks in about my project means the exact same thing as my teacher checks in to ask about my project.
Both arrows point the spotlight squarely at the work.
Exactly.
That is the kind of subtle mechanism that really makes a language feel alive. You can use different arrows to point to the same destination.
It's what makes English so rich, but also, so tricky sometimes.
For sure. Well, okay. We have thoroughly explored all 3 rules. We have built horizontal bridges with. We have dropped pins on a map using at. And we have circled around our abstract tasks using about.
We have covered a lot of ground.
We have. But as any good educator will tell you, simply listening to an explanation is not enough to secure it in your memory.
Passive listening only gets you halfway there.
Right.
Knowledge only truly becomes yours when you actively apply it. If we just end this discussion right now, these 3 prepositions will likely fade from your memory by tomorrow morning.
And we definitely don't want that. The authors of The Essential Guide to Checking In clearly understand that because the very last sentence of our source material is a direct call to action for the reader.
It is a great instruction.
It says, short practice. Try saying 1 sentence for each meaning.
It is such a simple, practical, and highly effective exercise. It forces the brain to transition from passive reception to active construction.
So we want to address you directly right now. Yes, you listening to this deep dive.
Whether you are driving, cooking, or, just sitting at a desk.
We want you to take just 2 minutes today to complete this short practice. You do not need to write a long essay.
No, please don't.
You do not need to look up 20 new complex vocabulary words. We want you to use the B2 level vocabulary that you already possess to build 3 simple, clear sentences.
Let's gently review the architecture one last time to help you visualize your sentences.
Perfect.
First, think about a human connection. Visualize that horizontal bridge. You will use the word with. Check in with a person. Who in your life needs that gentle tap on the shoulder today?
Will you check in with a friend? Will you check in with a colleague?
Second, visualize a physical location. Drop a pin on your mental map. You will use the word at. Check in 8T, a place.
Where do you need to announce your arrival this week? Do you need to check in at the dentist's office? Are you checking in at the gym?
And finally, visualize a task or a concept. Shine the spotlight on the work. You will use the word about. Check in. About progress.
What ongoing project needs a status update? Are you checking in about the weekly sales report? Or maybe something more casual, like checking in about dinner plans for this weekend.
All of those work beautifully.
So what does this all mean?
Wow.
When we step back and look at the linguistic landscape we have covered today, I think it is genuinely remarkable. By purposefully slowing down our pace, by refusing to rush, and by keeping our focus incredibly tight on just one phrase, we have uncovered the hidden mechanics of English.
We really have.
We have seen how one simple, friendly phrasal verb check-in completely transforms its function just by swapping out a single tiny word, with, at, or about.
It's all about the arrows.
Depending on which arrow you choose, you can act as a supportive friend, an arriving traveler, or a diligent professional, all while using the exact same verb.
It truly exposes the hidden architecture of human communication. We often spend so much time and anxiety worrying about, memorizing massive, intimidating lists of complex vocabulary words.
Oh, constantly.
But very often, true fluency isn't found in the big words. It is hiding in the smallest ones.
It is hiding in plain sight, right there in the middle of the sentence.
Which leaves us with a fascinating concept to consider as you go about your day. Think about the sheer power held inside those tiny prepositions.
Yeah, just 3 little words.
If mastering just 3 little words, with, at, and about, can open up entirely different dimensions of your daily life, your relationships, your travel, and your professional progress. What other small, easily ignored words in the English language might be secretly holding the keys to your fluency?
That is a wonderful question to leave on.
Perhaps the dictionary isn't just a heavy, rigid set of flashcards. Perhaps it is actually a map, and you are just beginning to discover the small, invisible bridges that connect everything together.